One second. Let's actually get in here and view. I was in here earlier. I had this all set up with music and everything. Alright. Where is playlists? And then, where is it? Just turn on some chill music here real quick. Yeah. Ads. Okay, there we go. Is that playing? I believe that's playing. Try to mix it really quick. Monitor and output. Okay, I can't get it to work. Anyway, I'll play it in the background. If y'all hear it, y'all hear it. Anyway, welcome to my breakdown of the dev workshop in Warframe. So this is going to be going off of the Corpus Proxima and new Railjack with update 29.10. There are some things that I really like here, and there are some things that I just do not. I'm going to basically go over each and every kind of... this is going to be a longer kind of video with several key points. So, I'm going to turn this down to 15 if I can. There we go. There we go. Or like 10. Yeah, 10's good. Anyway, so this whole kind of thing boils down to A, B, C, and D, like basically. So what will happen on login, basically your avionics are going to be turned to mods. This is absolutely fine. It should have probably been a modding screen to begin with. I sort of highly disagree that it should be mods. I think you can do a modding system like avionics, but that all the avionics should be available, and I still believe that the navigation terminal should be like you select them per mission, and you have access to everything, and you can put in what you want and then select which ones to activate. That being said, you can have different builds for different things. I just think that you should be able to run different things. So basically this is, your Dirac is going to go to Endo, supposedly on a 1-to-1. You could get large amounts of Endo or Dirac fairly, frequently. And for that to be turned all the way to Endo is a completely, I guess, good thing. So we're going to get a giant chunk of Endo, which is pretty good. There's new... Let's just get into this. So, it's more accessible. It's going to be put into more relays, if not every single relay at one point in time. I believe that you're probably, to get to the Proxima region and do certain things, you are still going to have to do the Second Dream. And to kind of get your own, or craft your own, and kind of be put into the whole spectrum of things, you are still going to need to be doing the Rising Tide quest, which is an amazing quest. But it is more available. So now they're putting in this Plexus thing in your orbiter, basically. There's one console in the orbiter that's been unused, and we've wondered what it's going to be used for years. I think they're finally doing this. It shows a 3D ship. I don't think that's the correct way to go. I think they should do like a schematic, like a flat screen kind of schematic kind of thing to make it in line with everything else, look like an info kind of grid. But that being said, it is going to have aura mods. It's going to have, like, your base, like, integrated, like, hull is going to be there, you know, like, this is all health stuff, and then you can have battle avionics, and you can have tacticals, and you can have configs of every single different thing, which is fine, right? You can see, like, there's different battles, so you get your tether, your void hole, and what it appears to be is that these, like, seeker volleys may, in fact, because what I noticed upon looking at this, if we can get a larger kind of look at this, what you'll see is that there's a specific symbol on each one, just like aura mods. I highly disagree with this, because this means that you cannot equip Seeker Volley and Void Hole in 2 different slots. Because what I would like to do is Seeker Volley to be A, then my, like, Battering Ram to be my secondary one, and then my third one to be Void Hole. I don't care if my first ability costs 100. I don't care that my third ability costs 100. I want both of those abilities, and I should be able to spec into those. So that's a change that I think really, really needs to be made, is to not restrict you to how you wish to build the machine. Like I understand, like, maybe Warframes being that way since they're kind of organic or whatever, but this is a warship that we're talking about, and it's not necessarily alive. It's meant to be an extension of you, and I think that if you're going to put abilities with mods, then you should be able to do that, because the Helminth system already does that. For those who are unaware, if you put Proteus Dispensary, which is usually a secondary ability that costs 50, and if you put it on a Warframe, and you put it in their 4th ability slot, because it is in the 4th ability slot, it will cost 100. So I don't see why Seeker Volley and Void Hole cannot be in the same thing, because I'll be honest, I almost never cast anything in my A slot. Everything here in this slot is, I guarantee you, useless. So it'd be really great if Digital Extremes could come up with a way to either forma that out or something to get more customization. Otherwise, I'm a solo player, honestly, and I would honestly just get a second Xbox and a second account, give that second account Void Hole or something, and then just fire it from one of the turrets. Because I play absolutely solo, and I would put it on invite only and play as 2 different people. I guarantee you I would. Tacticals, again, not a lot of tacticals are really, like, there's only 3 good tacticals. There's, like, Void Cloak, Intruder Stasis, and, I believe it's Squad Renew, or, oh man, I don't see it here. It might not be in there, but basically it teleports you back to the Railjack and puts you full health. I would not have that mod if, again, the actual statuses on your Railjack, like fires and electrical fires and everything else, actually had different things in-game as of current, but they said that they are changing that, so we'll wait and see if that actually does become a thing. For instance, this is the Plexus that I was talking about. It's that 3D 3D Railjack component. I think it needs to be, again, a screen to look in line with everything, but it's fine. You are going to be able to forma this, which actually helps the whole engine thing of having to roll engines and completely, like, infuse them and everything else, which still might be a factor. But let's get into Intrinsics 2.0, because there are some things that need to change here. Tactical, for the most part, I actually have Tactical up here on my Xbox, and we're going to go through Tactical. So Tactical rank 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are actually all the same. The only difference is 5. 5 here is Necromex become deployable in all Railjack missions. Now 5 is Overseer on the current build, which is Crew Chase Camera. That has been actually combined into 1, which is great, because usually people would just go to 5. The problem with that is that Overseer, because Railjack is still an island, the thing is that everything is now, like, everything at one point went into our Tenno or our operator, and now everything is going into Railjack. The problem is that there needs to be a reverse where everything mixes into everything. So things like Overseer need to be used in regular missions. Because if I'm introducing, say, my friend Colin, which I did recently introduce to the game, I'm having to hold his hand teaching him spy missions. And it would be great if I could just sit back and watch him, and when he's asking to figure it out, or, like, you know, a shortcut or whatever that are in the spy missions, if I can guide him, and I'm saying, like, no, look there, like, look to your right, like, go there, and I, you know, look through his camera, and then if I need to go, you know, meet up with him and go to missions, I don't have to, like, you know, hold his hand so much, but I can give him the ability to kind of do it. I can guide him, and that sort of thing. 6, 7, and 8, I believe, are the exact same thing. At technical efficiency reduces flux energy consumption by 25%. Tactical response reduces tactical avionics. And then Arc Wing tactical blink. And then Necromech summon cooldown is being added to that on 8. That's all fine and dandy. Rank 9 is, again, further cooldown. And then warp to crew member on tactical screen, which you would get from rank 1 because of crew tracking. The problem is that this, again, needs to be in core Warframe. I should, at any point, be able to take, you know, this and right bumper to bring up the whole menu thing, and then, you know, press, like, left, right, whatever for Omni or tactical menu, and be able to bring that out in regular missions as well. So that whenever you go into Railjack, the things that you earn in Railjack aren't just being used in Railjack. They need to be used in core Warframe. So it would be really great if we're all doing, like, disruption, we're going and looking at different places, I finish mine, my teammate goes down, so I warp directly to him, put down a frost bubble or Gara's, you know, glass or whip claw from Korra, and res him. It'd be a very good thing, and it would be worth the intrinsic, because this is worth the intrinsic. Let's go back up here to piloting. Piloting has gone through a massive overhaul with the removal of the sprint bar. So now you can boost infinitely, basically, and drift and make the most of all the crazy maneuvers. The only difference, though, is how you fire. We'll get onto that later. But for rank 1, we'll go rank 1 through 5, and then we'll do, you know, the next 5. So there's hold left stick to boost engine speed for a short time. Then there's burst directional thrusters with, like, a bumper or whatever. Vectored evasion, nearby end projectiles lose lock-on during vector maneuver. Safe flight, damage due to collisions is reduced by 50%, and then drift maneuver, which during vector hold to drift, drifting consumes boost, which is no longer a thing. To charge launch speed, release left stick to launch out of the drift, which is great. These are basically all the same thing, except that some of them have been combined, and our new, like, rank 5 is vacuum increase radius, and dungeon loot radar while piloting, which is great, because we actually need a lot more ways to see nodes that can be broken, or doors, or whatever, like, to further go into the missions even more, and find even more things. The more, like, it would give you a reason to do older content. Like, why would I do a level 1 mission? Well, there's this hidden thing that you can only find with this specific tactical ability, or this specific piloting ability. That's great. Evasive Pilot, let's see, so 6 is boost time increased by 25%, since boosting has been removed. We now get Evasive Pilot. Enemy ram sleds have a 25% chance to miss as a malfunction, causing them to explode. This is actually pretty good, because when all things considered, you have to boost backwards and fire while boosting to usually avoid things like the dropships that come and crash into you for boarding parties. So a 25% chance for them to just miss randomly and go through your Railjack would be pretty cool. However, I think that still has that's a temporary fix to a problem. Rank 7, Vector and Drift Maneuvers consume 25% less boost. Again, that's being replaced with Necromech Speed because boost is no longer a thing. Arc Wing Speed increased by 20%. That is great. Then we have rank 9 and 10 are at one point going to be, like, they are basically being combined because rank 9 and 10 on the actual build that we have right now is rank 9 reduced incoming damage by 10% while boosting. Rank 10 is ramming into enemies while boosting to deal 2,000 like puncture damage or ballistic damage to like enemy types. That is going to be a good thing. Now we're getting to the not so good things. Railjack Blink. You can now blink with the Railjack. When you emerge from the jump, the Railjack will emit a large radial slow that will slow enemies in an area for an amount of time. Okay. This gets into what actually a lot of people are asking for in the comments down below on the dev stream, which is the ability to turn off certain intrinsics. Because the intrinsics, if you don't know, give you 2,000 mastery. They're great. They give you mastery. The problem is that I see this as a complete downside. For those of you that have followed me on my channel before, you will know that I hate Blink. The reason I liked Blink on the Itzel, for it being solely on the Itzel, was because you could cast it as fast as you wanted, and it required an ability cast. And something as special as Blink needs to be an ability cast. Now, one of the things that I have actually changed and like asked in several different things is I once proposed this whole thing for a rework of how Arc Wing would work. And I would think that it would work the exact same way in Railjack, where since you cannot go into your operator, which is transference, which is LB and RB on controller. I transferred over everything for PC, and it all works. This would effectively, if you were in Arc Wing or Railjack, it would be your Blink. It would take from your operator's energy pool, which would replenish, or because you had a larger energy pool due to the Xeneric passives that you could unlock, it would give you a reason to go and grind focus and improve that thing, once again, tangling together core Warframe. But they have not done that. Instead, what they have done is they have tied it to the first ability, which is the engine boost maneuver. For whenever you come out of it, you are launched forward and teleported, which can be extremely disorienting. And I think since you can drift in any direction, what it should be done is while you are drifting, if you hit that or whatever, you should be able to blink. Since you are moving in a direction, you can blink whether you are sprinting or not. So I'm going to hate getting the mastery from this. Legitimately, I think that they need to make turning off intrinsics a thing, because I hate Blink. And we're going to go into Gunnery next. So, Gunnery is target lead indicators and ordnance lock-on. This is a great thing to have for Gunnery, especially if you like running something like the Photor. The Photor actually works absolutely great, but 360-degree view for Gunners actually does no longer make sense anymore to get. Like this makes 0 sense to get now, and let me explain why. So on the current build that we have Phantom Eye, augmented reprojection, and turret suspensors allow full 360-degree combat engagement. The turrets are on the side right now, and what they're proposing is that you have the pilot in front and then turrets above and below the pilot. The reason that this will not work is it gives you absolutely no reason to get Phantom Eye. Because if you're looking where the pilot is looking, you don't have to turn. You're firing at exactly what there's no reason to fire, beside you or anything else, while there is still a reason to fire beside you. And now you can't see beside you or at your flank anymore for enemies going to do so. You can only see out through the front unless you get that 360-degree, view or whatever. So now, instead of it being a cool little thing where you can help out the other gunner on the opposite side, or there's two of you in a mission, and you can be the 360-degree, or there be 360 degrees, there's no real reason to do it. And I feel like this is bad for the turrets not really it just seems like a bad play to me. I think you should have the turrets on the sides, because there's no reason for there to just be windows there now, as well as different aesthetic changes that I personally do not like. Railjack so the Railjack, rank 3, high velocity Arc Wing deployment into the combat zone with the Arc Wing slingshot. That's fine for rank 3. That's a good gameplay feature that you can earn. Slingshot Arc Wing damages fighters and penetrates enemy cruise ship hulls at rank 4. This needs to work on regular mission objectives as well, because I noticed that when you aim at doors, the doors lock on, but you don't actually go inside. And they need to fix that. And as long as that fix is done, I think this is worth getting. Arc melee weapons increase range and damage. This is completely unnecessary. This never needs to be a thing. Besides the fact that arc melee weapons need a complete and utter rework, because Arc Wing was not even a viable thing, due to just how poor they are other than regular Warframe missions, like mobile defense or whatever, in which you're using your gun most of the time and you're leveling up passively via mobile defense. There is almost no reason to get these unless you are using the scanning mod from Samaris, which also can be put on your Bone Widow Necromech, in case y'all didn't know that, if y'all want some easy scanning for filling up your codex. Speaking of that, rank 5 tactical, it says in all Railjack missions, this will eventually lead it to be all missions as just a feature, but this is required for Railjack or something. So this needs to completely be removed, and the rest of these for gunnery actually need to be moved up one, because rank 10 actually sucks right now, and I'll get into that. Necromech gun damages increase. That's great already, because they already do great damage, so for them to do even more damage is a great thing. Right now what we have on rank 5 is Artillery Command, which is control of forward-mounted artillery cannon, which apparently the pilot is going to have now, so that's all good and dandy. You then have Cold Trigger, which is reduced heat accretion by 20% at rank 6, which is now, which is still the same. 7 is slingshot range plus 50% gun overheat time minus 50. That is still the exact same thing. Rank 8 is Vengeful Arc Wing, which increases Arc Wing power damage by 25%. And ability strength 20%, ability range 20%, and efficiency by 20%. They say 20% all right here. That could be a typo. Rank 9 is under review, may stay the same. Well, rank 9 on here is drifting reduces weapon heat buildup by 50% while increasing weapon damage by 50%. The problem is that now that piloting is has removed the stamina bar, there's no need for that entirely, and the two of them no longer coherently mix with one another. Rank 10 is Reflex Aim, and Reflex Aim is, a lot of people don't like it for whatever reason, which is why you should be able to turn off intrinsics after you get their mastery. I personally love it, because it works great with the Photor, as you can just kind of pulse aim and constantly kind of get an auto target if you know how to time it right. Or it will just snap you to the nearest target lead, and you can just take over from there with aiming. I propose that since we need to remove the arc melee, you move this down, since a lot of people don't think it's actually worth a rank 10. And plus on this rank 10, it says, aim snaps turret to lead indicator. Lock-on lasts much longer than before, but with small added cost to weapon heat. And I'm gonna quote Brozyme really quick, because I watched his, and I have the exact same reaction, which is, I'm sorry, I'm spending over 1,000 intrinsics, and I'm getting a fucking downside? Excuse me? This needs to not be a thing. Just, it's not worth it. No one will unlock 10 with this. They will never get the mastery from this. No one will care. Because you are getting a fucking downside, and that is absolutely terrible. So this needs to just be deleted, and this needs to be moved down to rank 9 with everything else being whatever, because we literally have to remove the arc melee thing. But a new rank 10 is actually something that I said, is that you should move rank 10 gunnery to rank 9, and then rank 10 gunnery becomes the ability to shoot while boosting, because in the new one, if you are piloting and you are boosting, you cannot shoot. Which means that this would actually give you an actual reason and an actual ability to, now it could reduce, I said here, it could reduce your damage or your accuracy or something of that nature, but the point is that you could still shoot and boost at the same time, and that would actually fix the problem of the evasive pilot of enemy ram sleds have a 25% chance to miss. That would fix that problem. It's in a total another tree, which makes the two trees actually intermingle with one another, and it is absolutely great. So we actually, like, the intrinsics need to be used in core Railjack at the same time. I say this in a post. We also say that we need to toggle them on and off because, again, I already hate that if they do this, I'm gonna hate that. As for engineering is basically kind of the same, with some minor changes. You have faster repairs with the Omni tool, which is accelerated hazard suppression and hull repair, which is the exact same. You have Forge Flux Energy in real time to power vessel battle avionics, which, you know, whatever. Reduction in air support cooldown, which I actually like that the landing craft support is actually getting boosts, because I actually use the landing craft air support quite often, and I use different versions of it and different builds. It is a thing in the game. It is a niche thing in the game that I wish people knew more about, and I think this might actually make people consider it as part of their loadout more. Then there's the ability to craft ordnance at the forge, you know, dome charges, your natural progression. Ability to craft heals for the Railjack and increase forge yield capacity by 25%. This makes absolutely no sense. The rank 5 for this in the current build is dome charges and increase, like, rank 4 is increased forge yields. So this literally makes no sense as to what they mean by craft heals. Unless there's, like, a new, like, that's what hull repairing is supposed to be done for the Omni tool, so I have no idea what this means. Rank 6 is the increased forge processing speed by 25%, which is great. It means that certain people will want to forge more than others, which means that you have something to bring to the team if you choose not to play solo. Tactical, so rank 7 is increased forge output by another 25%, that's always good. Arc Wing, shield, armor, and health by 30%, that's always good. Rank 9 is necromech buffs, 25% health, 25% shields, that's great. And surplus shield has obviously been moved, which is the rank 9 on our regular. This is repair ship damage remotely from tactical screen. This is great. The problem is that it costs more. So I get that there's a tactical advantage of it costing more, but I think it costing twice as much does not need to be a thing. I think 25% more or 50 is good, but twice as much to repair something is not great. And that goes, and then there's the command intrinsic. The command intrinsic, I feel, is going to be forced on people. Because it says it runs it the exact same way as... It runs it the exact same way as Index. Which is terrible. But the you basically have 3 AIs and you level them up different ways. I think it's hilarious that they're given competency points when the AI has never been really that great in Warframe, especially considering allies and DE's inability to improve them, such as Kuvalich's spawning randomly into missions that you don't want them to. But that being said, yeah, I just find it funny. But the command intrinsic needs to basically not be forced on people, and it needs you to have something like, if a player is joining you, you need to be able to select which member gets booted off first. Because if these are in order, like A, B, C, this person is going to be kicked off first. That like needs to be a thing, so that your last good person, your last good AI is there. That's just going to be, that has to be a thing, but this also begs the question, how does this work if you're not being solo? Like, as a solo player, personally, I like doing everything myself. I wouldn't use the AI at all, and I figured command would be something like having extra ships kind of pilot around you, or something, or like your liches piloting skiffs. Something of that nature, like maybe not actual AIs on your ship that might get in the way of things, but depending on how they do this, it could work really well like Wukong's AI. With the Celestial Twin. Going further down, there's the new thing with the hull, which basically is how you can kind of bring your stats to multiplayer missions, and it's worded weird. We'll have to see how it kind of works more in game, I think. If you're an early adopter of Railjack, you will get a monument. There are different matchmaking changes. Let's go down. This screen actually has been vastly improved, though I do hate the new interior. I'm going to be very clear that I hate the fact that they are getting rid of the larger interior, as I liked the larger play space. It gave room to really add on in the future, so I think making it smaller like a skiff is not the way to go. That being said, I have no control over those things, so I'm going to have to live with it, but things like bombs being planted on your Railjack, I liked it better if there were more places to hide them. Vents, maybe, or something of that nature. I'd actually rather the interior be bigger, but that is me. This is where I have a problem. Battle tactical, these will now have Warframe energy. So, there is no longer a shared pool of things, and I have a fix for this, because I do not believe that there should be if you're trying to make a thing where, like, it's tough for solo players, and you have this innate desire to want team play, what would be great is if the pilot, while fleeing, says, hey, someone go craft me missiles. You're part of a crew. You're supposed to work together. And so this only reinforces solo play, I feel. Because there's absolutely no reason for me to bring anyone along. As a player that can probably solo even the content that there's no reason Because I will be clear, every single version of Railjack I have soloed. I have never played with a singular person. No matter how difficult it was, no matter how easy it was, like, even the glitchiest of glitches, I soloed everything. Nothing was difficult for me. That being said, I am a hardcore player. That's not everyone's cup of tea. But I feel as though there needs to be a system in place in which things are both shared and not. I can understand there not being a shared energy pool, so that maybe your void holes aren't being used by some random schmuck on your team or whatever if you're playing public. That being said, I don't believe Revelite and even missiles should be done the same. What I believe should be done, and I don't know if Digital Extremes has thought of this, is an overflow. So, for instance, say you can have 200 Revelite personally, right? And every single person on your team can have 200 personally, but the max that you can have is 400. So that way, what is happening is you have your personal 200, but you can have that guy still running around while you're making Revelite for him, and it goes into the ship's overflow, right? So you have a maximum of you know, whatever, he's going around repairing like crazy. And while he can have, like he uses his personal 200, but someone keeps putting it into the overflow because they've already maxed their 200, so they keep putting it into the overflow, which automatically fills, like, other people's stuff, right? So, because you take from the overflow. That, I feel, would be very, very, very good and healthy for the game, for team player-based, for something that's more team-based. Because you cannot have something that's like, oh, well, now y'all need to switch, and this guy who sucks at being gunner now has to be gunner because this guy now has to repair and use all of his personal Revelite. That's not healthy for the game. It does promote solo play, and it will promote solo play. Nothing about that is healthy or good, so I think there does need to be some sort of overflow system, and how this has not been thought of, I do not know. And I sincerely hope that Digital Extremes thinks of something like that. Because I used to work in Home Depot. You have overflow for a reason. That being said, Battle and tactical abilities will now be fueled by Warframe energy. That's fine. I do think that the overflow could also work with that, and that's a reason for, like, your own aura mods and things of that nature. Let's go over this. Your Railjack malfunctions hazards have also received a refresher to no longer directly affect the Railjack's health and/or shields. This, I feel, is bad. This, I feel, is completely and utter, like, bullshit, depending on how they do this. So it says electrical hazards now scramble your minimap and disable use of your tactical menu. Okay, fair. That makes you pay attention more. Catastrophic hull breaches now deal damage to all players on board until it has been sealed. This, I do not think, is the correct way to go. I think the 60-second timer is great for this. In fact, what this needs to do, is be the 60-second timer. It says fire hazards now cause weapons to overheat quicker and cool down more slowly. That's great, but there's still oxygen on board, and what I think this needs to do is it will deal damage to on board for players until it has been, like, extinguished. I think fire needs to be, like, what they have proposed as catastrophic hull breaches needs to cause, like, this is caused by fire, and the fire can now overheat weapons quicker and things of that nature. I think these two need to be mixed somehow. Ice hazards can now freeze interactive elements of the Railjack. That's perfect. Pilot seat, forges, arc wing, slingshot, and turrets. They still need to do doors because I feel that makes players pay attention more. But also there's the fact of the ice, like, each thing needs an equal chance of happening. Because what I've noticed is that catastrophic, like, ice hazards have not happened to me since Earth. Like, think of how long Railjack has been. I've ran into this twice. I was like, oh, cool, your doors can freeze. I didn't know that was a thing. And then I never ran into it again. And my coffee just almost spilled. I like the electrical hazards. The ice hazards are great, but they still need to freeze doors as well. Hull ruptures have been removed altogether. I do not believe that this should be a thing. I think hull ruptures are a good thing, and what I would like to do is have hull ruptures actually cause other things. So what I think that this and this should be your priority. Because what I think should happen is that hull ruptures, something ruptures and it causes a fire, or it causes lack of oxygen or something, or your heat gets thrown out or something, and it causes more ice to form, or it divides your health or something, and like, you know, it keeps, like, catastrophic hull breaches keep on happening, so you keep having that 60-second timer, because you let this problem persist, so now you keep getting an even worse problem. These all need to entangle together. Or something ruptures and you have electrical hazards. Like, this does not need to be removed. This needs to be... All of these need to be an equal hazard in tandem. So this needs to be a randomizer. This literally needs to be a randomizer because some of these things do not happen. Ice hazards do not happen to me. Electrical hazards do not happen to me. The only thing I get is fire hazards, hull ruptures, and catastrophic hull breaches. Those are the only things I have ever gotten. So I think for there to be a wild card in here, it would be great. Unified damage types, this is fine for whatever. I would think it would be cool if we could get a skin for, like, you know, the Ionic and, you know, whatever, for just to make it sound like spacey. There are node changes. I don't think that they should do a node change. I think that they don't need... I don't think that they need to get rid of Gian Point, because they are getting rid of Gian Point, because it had a quick turnaround as nothing spawned, no extra objective spawned there. It was just a pure exterminate, basically, and then redo for high intrinsics. I believe that that should be a thing for player catch-up in the future. So I can understand it being disabled maybe for right now, but but eventually it will need to come back so that players have a point where they can catch up. This is hilariously called What Will Keep Me Playing, and that is just not true. Because it says, Corpus Railjack is here. These robots and crewmen taken to the skies will greatly expand the Proxima star chart. 3 new planets, Venus, Neptune, and Pluto Proxima, will introduce new enemies, new points of interest, and more. These will be the most difficult missions for Corpus Railjack to be added to the Veil Proxima. The Veil Proxima, by the way, needs to be completely random. The Veil Proxima needs to be, you go in and you do a mission at this level, and depending on how far in it happens, determines how many more extra objectives there are and how much more bullshit you will have to deal with. It needs to be completely random. It needs to be coin flipped between all the factions, whether they be sentient, Corpus, Grenier, or in future infested. There needs to be the Veil Proxima has to be absolute chaos. You do not know what you're going to get. That's what I think the Veil Proxima has to do, because that's eventually what we go to for the sentients anyway. Let's see, the Diversifying Railjack missions. The problem here is, why would I go to something to defend it when it's on their thing? Like, this makes absolutely no sense. No one likes mobile defense, and no one really is doing defense missions these days anyway, so this is going to be a dead node on arrival. Any part of this that is defense is going to have to be so grand of a reward that it's going to be the hot spot to go to, but defense missions are boring, they are long, they do not have a quick turnaround. Players will naturally do exterminate just because it is more interactive and fun, and you are not sitting around waiting for every single wave to just spawn. It's just not, it's going to be dead on arrival. It just is. We need something else other than defense. I know mobile defense is not a good thing, but at least that would keep you moving from place to place, or what have you. I would really like actually seeing further spy missions. and different things where in Railjack you had to use something like Void Cloak, and taking from the Kuva Fortress story mission where you had to like be invisible or something, or go through different things where your Railjack could not be, like your Railjack was doing whatever in space with some teams, but you could not be seen whatsoever in the spy mission. It would be a very, very difficult spy mission where you could not be seen at all. It would be the actual reason you bring Ivara or anything else. Like, you cannot be seen, otherwise it is over. And the data is being purged everywhere at once. That's the kind of difficulty mission I would personally just love. Because the Sentients are supposed to pull dickish moves like that, and that would be great for Railjack content in the first place. It says we're also adding 2 new mission types. The first is known as Orphix, which will be familiar to those who played the Orphix Venom event. This is going to be an alternate place for getting arcanes, and it is made clear later in the post that that is going to be the drop table, and that while it may be an infinite mission, the problem is that you will never get what you want, and that was what was so great about the Orphix Venom event. This will only make people wish that they had played the event if there is no form of going so long and getting some sort of resource or reward or tracker on how many Orphix you've killed, for instance, or a point system similar to that, and being able to go in and get arcanes from some vendor somewhere. Like, there has to be kind of like a pity reward of, oh, you did this much and you've still not gotten the thing that you're actually looking for. Here it is. Like, here's a store, pick what you want, blank check. You've played so many hours where you should have gotten it, take it. That needs to be a thing. That needs to be a thing, whether it costs other arcanes, like at so many ranks or something of that nature, or like trading arcanes for arcanes or something. Like, something needs to happen where you can either trade up or trade in. Something needs to happen. Void Storms and Relics, these are actually going to be in Update 30. So these 2 things are being separated. So the Call of the Tempered Starry stuff and the Void Storms are going to be great. What I really hope they do with the Void Storms is, Brozyme had an idea that I actually had the exact same time. Because what they said in here, if I can highlight it, is that they'll be like stormier. Yeah, right here. It says it'll be but much bigger and stormier. And so, like, cracking like 5 relics at a time, or like 3 relics at a time, that'd be a reason to go into Railjack instead of just starting out doing regular ones one at a time. Is that you can Radiant all these relics. Problem is that there needs to be a method in which you can buy resources. Because used to, on the previous alert system, which this still has not been addressed, one of the things that helped newer players out was getting specific resources via alerts. And now there are players that can barely progress through the star chart and are completely lost as to what to do, because there is no way that they can actually get the resources that they desperately need for certain things unless someone taxis them, or they brutishly work their way through the star chart at an almost impossible speed, or they look up on the wiki what bosses drop what. For instance, like Morphix and things of that nature. Like, Vor is one of the only places that you can get Morphix. Nothing tells you that. So there needs to be a way in which you can buy resources, maybe from a new tab in Nora Knight's thing, and one of them definitely needs to be Void Traces. Because there just has to be a bigger pool of Void Traces that you can get. I do know that Heart of Deimos, like, that whole update did kind of fix that problem a little bit, and you could run vaults. You didn't have to run void missions, and you could get Argon crystals and all sorts of different high rewards, but a lot of those rewards only did go into Deimos. So that being said, like, there needs to be some economy changes where you can basically buy certain resources at so many credits. Like, you buy 10,000 of that resource, which would not only help other players catch up, but, like, for instance, there's, like, insanely difficult weapons that you'd only be able to, craft after a hilarious amount of time in Warframe, like the Cyber, which is, like, the mace that requires 30,000 cryotic, which would mean that you'd have to do 300 perfect excavations, which is a slog and no one wants to do whatsoever. So just buying that outright would be very good if you could earn it via the same amount of time and turn in those credits if you hate doing extraction missions. And of course, you could always buy it with platinum as well. So this also, Void Storms need to have a drawback, like a risk reward, is that if you're going to have it stormier, you know, and have more relics open, or have, you know, X, Y, and Z, there needs to be legitimate dangers where reality is in flux. I don't care if that is your point of view completely flipping upside down, where, like, for a few, like, dangerous spots, your controls are inverted if you go into, like, some dangerous void spots or pockets, or your screen flips upside down, or your colors invert or something. Like, I don't care what happens, but something needs to, like, mess with the players' heads, and, like, just something needs to happen where there's legitimate dangers, where it's like, oh, your health and your shields are now swapped in value. So it's like, well, now Hildren is completely out of you know, whack, because now her health is really large and her shields are itty bitty. Like, that'd be a concern. Like, you'd need to, you know, do some reality and flux shit. So, let's see, making Warframe is hard. I'm sure there's tons of balanced stuff. I think that there does need a little bit of a restructure. The Corpus Liches, aka Queenpins, is still planned for the future update, its own update. This actually brings me back to the Liches that were supposed to be part of Railjack, which is going to be a thing, but there needs to be a thing where you can decide whether or not they show up in missions, period. Because as it stands of current, whenever you are farming something, and you are doing something like a spy mission, and suddenly my Lich, Avabed of Oho, comes out of nowhere and just starts shooting every single security drone during something like a sortie or a regular spy mission, and you end up alerting everything, it gets quite annoying, especially if you're trying to do a stealth run on something like a Darrow to just level up a melee weapon really quick, or something of that nature, and you're spending hours forming a melee weapon or a primary to get a certain build on it. It's very annoying just to have to turn tail and run and just sit there for 5 minutes in a node in a room that you've already cleared, and you just literally set a timer on your Apple Watch or something where you're just like, I know he disappears after 3 minutes, I'm gonna get up and go get a drink or whatever. It's literally unhealthy for the game. It's not good. It's annoying. It makes me actually want to kill the Liches, and honestly, if the command intrinsic has regular AI show up in the world as well, I will never hire anyone ever. I will wait till other people do it, or I will take a whole different account because I will fire everyone. I will sell every single Lich I have for 0 platinum and kill them, like how it's gonna be. Let's see, difficult to answer, long enough, blah, 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 at least every town has their own style, but, let's see. What is the early first adopter tiers? So this goes into tiers. They've revised this. I wish I could show the previous thing that they had up, because it was like if you built 30 wreckage or something. And so I literally did a whole Warframe stream where I was just grinding wreckage. And titanium. It says, this is the oddest question. It's difficult to remember what all you've built, valence, transferred, scrapped, etc. So we are changing this. As seen here, all original posts will be edited to reflect this. it said, so now if you have 4 avionic grid slots max, which is the maxing of the slots, to where they add on to the mods even being maxed. If you have 4 of them maxed and wreckage built, such as any one of the Levon or like any one of the houses kind of built, you will get tier 1. Same thing with tier 2, and whatever, and then you will get different things based off different tiers. I know at tier 3 you get something like Umbra Forma. So as long as you have 6 wreckage built, you will get all sorts of different things. Just grind Railjack if you've not done it yet, and have a blast while the system is still, in my opinion, good. Because there's a lot of questionable things in here. All of like energy things have been actually accounted for. You mentioned Necromex in all missions. Why just missions? Why you mentioned Necromex in all missions? Why just Railjack missions? They're still testing in all maps, which was to be expected. It says no arcanes will be within the Orphix rotations themselves in new reward tables. This, again, needs to have some forgiveness. I still think, honestly, something like this needs to happen. And there needs to definitely be a complete overhaul of what Blink is in everything. Blink has become, ever since Blink was moved to dodge, because I liked dodging forward, backwards, left, right, that sort of thing. I loved the ability to blink in Arcwing as an ability, because that gave you reason, like, especially if if you move the whole blink ability to something like your operator's energy pool, it gives you a reason to go back to that part of the game and improve that part of the game and not just leave it as an island. Because the operators for a large period of time, and still are, quite frankly, pretty isolated. So, I would say that this would only work in Arcwings. This would not work on Titania, because she is a Warframe. LB is held down if tapped. Like, this basically has, like, the whole gyro boost and everything else. I think that there does need to be the gyroscopic movement where you can basically do loop-de-loops and everything. That was always fun, and it is confusing for newer players that I have talked to where they're just like, why can't I do loop-de-loops if this is space? And I'm like, oh, they changed that to be this really weird thing where you level out or whatever. Honestly, I think if you click in both sticks for a certain amount of time, maybe you level out to a set 0, but I think there needs to be a gyro mode, and that you should be able to turn off whether or not you drift or not. But honestly, that's what I liked about how realistic Arcwing was. I know at one point I had a world record in Rush, because I'd gotten so used to braking and everything else and drifting, and having boost not be a permanent thing. But the problem with all of this actually started with the original Arcwing quest. Because if y'all go back and play it, you'll actually notice they don't teach you anything in that quest. They do not teach you that you can toggle between boost and sprint. They do not teach you that you can toggle between, like, different boost modes or what your abilities are. They teach you absolutely nothing. And what should happen is that there should be an extension of that quest in which Ortis then takes you to see if it is fully calibrated and has you run through all of the controls. This should just be a thing that is a quality of life thing where they teach you all the controls. And honestly, I have taught people the controls before because I messed with everything and looked up controls, and I tried different button combinations to see what everything did. And so I knew the controls. Coming in years after the game's kind of release, because I've been with Warframe since the beginning. I took like a 3-year hiatus, and Arcwing was a thing that I didn't really know about until, whatever, this was like 5-ish years ago. So, literally, there needs to be a point where they teach you the controls, because so many people hated it, and a lot of it was fixed. A lot of their hatred kind of subsided when they actually knew how to control their Arcwing. If you don't know how to control something in the game, you leave that part of the game. And that, like, everyone has always asked, why do people hate it? And it's literally because no one taught them the controls. I come up with a ton of things. If you'd actually like to see any of my stuff, just look up Hugs93 on the Warframe forums. I come up with all sorts of things. I came up with a Railjack 3.0 thing. That being said, that is the dev workshop. You can read through it more to get even more detail if you so wish. Those are just my thoughts on it, though. Anything else I kind of skipped or missed, other than the fact that they're adding more game types? Yeah, there needs to be the ability to turn off every single one, not only for review videos, but for the simple fact of some of these things just are not good. Because this right here, let me give you all an example. If you actually go to your operator, right? So I'm gonna pull up my operator really quick. There's a current thing like this in Warframe, where people look up what their focus trees should be or include, and under Matterai, if you go into Matterai, there's a thing called Void Radiance. And it consumes 25 energy on leaving Void mode to blind enemies within 4 meters for 2 seconds. If I pretend to put more into that, because what they tell you to do online is to unlock absolutely every single node, but you do not unlock Void Radiance beyond the initial 50k that you put into it. Because you fully level Void Strike, which comes after it, but if you turn off Void Radiance, it turns off Void Strike. So you need both Void Radiance and Void Strike to be active. So if you then go into Void Radiance, if you put more above the first level, it says consumes more than 25 energy. It now consumes 30 energy on leaving Void mode to blind enemies within 4 meters converted to 6 meters now for 2 minutes converted to 3 seconds. So it becomes 30 energy for 6 meters for 3 seconds. So we get another downside in the game that everyone has basically ignored. And you will find a lot of people do not invest into Matterai at all. Simply because there are nodes where it is fundamentally problematic to invest more into them than you need to. So the problem therefore is that thing with Matterai is there is no mastery associated with it. That's fine. You can leave that completely alone. Mastery is associated with this, so you cannot leave it alone. That's a problem. That means that if you are spending that many intrinsics, by the way, if y'all don't know how these intrinsics cost, it is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512. You actually require twice the cost of, so you're spending 1,080 intrinsics in total to get to here. And they are not easy to get. Intrinsics are not easy to get. That's why people like me did the Adaro farm to get intrinsics beyond what was normal, so that when Command came out, if it was a complete and utter total disaster, we could just grab it and not care about it. And that's kind of what's I am seeing happen, is I'm basically going to get, because I have an extra 1,000 intrinsics, I don't have to reset my pool. I can max everything to 10, but I'm not going to want to max this to 10, and I'm not going to want to max this to 10. Because the way they do Blink is they have it connected to your sprint, which isn't good. And the way they have it connected here is this is just a pure downside. This is legitimately a downside. There is absolutely no reason to do it whatsoever. This makes no sense whatever. And I even tried to say, well, what if it was, with my idea and you got extra heat because you were boosting while firing. That makes no sense either. People aren't going to completely downgrade even for an ability. They're just not. So this needs to just be done with. Like, you can do the lead indicator down to 9 or whatever. But, yeah. So that is the dev workshop. This will be uploaded to YouTube tomorrow. It will be exclusive on Twitch for right now. But, yeah, go ahead, go read it. This whole system needs to be improved. So, yeah. Let's see. Yes, I am using my camera. Okay, let me come back and see what has been said. So using a camera, there's a cam. Yes, hi, hello. Yes, hello everyone. Sorry, I was not looking at my Streamlabs. Let me just go to my camera really quick. So that part is going to be uploaded to YouTube at one point. Very sorry for the big dump of info, but I wanted to do basically a review as it is not really, I don't think, well thought out of. So yeah, I'm just gonna freak y'all out really quick. Or not. Or my fan can actually just do it for me. I was gonna do something cool. I wonder if I can still do something cool. Hold up. There we go. That was informative. Yep, yeah. Probably informative. But, that being said, DE, I think, needs to look at some of the things that they put out. There's good ideas there. Don't get me wrong. But, yeah, there's good ideas there, but they need a rework is what I think. I sometimes really wish I could just fill out an application and just work there, because I play Warframe religiously, so I know what it, you know, looks like. Like, I know what it feels like, that sort of thing, and I know some developers do not play the games that they develop, which is fine. But the problem is that there is an obvious disconnect that is happening currently between players and developers. And they could easily fix a lot of these things to make them feel really good and challenging, but they're not. And they need to kind of stop pandering to newer players as well, but that is a personal opinion of mine. So. Anyway. So. Whew. Very sorry for anyone that got an ad, by the way. I'm not trying to do an ad. I didn't do ads or whatever. I'm just streaming from OBS. I'm using my laptop's built-in camera, by the way. This is not a professional setup. If you would like to donate, please do so. You can do so either via any one of the links down below, or you can Cash App me directly via, whatever. Or subscribe via Prime, because I'm a Twitch affiliate. So if you would like to do all that shit, you can do all that shit. If you don't want to, that's fine. Just watch ads. It's great. What else is there? Oh! So I don't know if anyone heard, but we're going to be doing basically a lethal potato cannon. So, there's that. MFAO, no kidding, yeah. Alright, well, I gotta stop the stream and edit it and things of that nature. So, I also have to eat because I have not eaten today. So, yeah. But I wish y'all all well. I'll probably do a TikTok live stream or something. Who knows? Something from 6 ways from Sunday. I don't know. Nerdy, you can call me. You know that, right? Like, you literally have my number. Like, you could literally just call me. Like, most of y'all can just call me. My Snapchat is public information. Like, y'all know that, right? Like, I enjoy interacting with my followers. Y'all send me messages and everything. Like, y'all do know that, right? Like, I get I'm crowdfunded and everything, and I'm a piece of shit for that. Because there's no jobs here in Frederick. But anyway, like, you do know that that's, like, it's public. You can just call me. Like, literally, I have my phone right here. Like y'all know that, right? Oh, Ryan actually sent me something. All right. Fingers on the hood. Doing repair. Yeah. And my TikTok's going off. Anyway, love y'all. You're awesome. Love you. And goodbye. I hope the devs see this. I'm gonna go eat. I'm hungry. What should I eat? Anyone know what I should eat? I got pasta. I've got chicken Alfredo. I could cook some of that. That'd be nice. Chicken Alfredo is actually not bad. Yeah, I'll do chicken Alfredo. Never mind. I get chicken Alfredo. Shadow takes off sunglasses, proceeds to look into soul. I shall starve. It's like it looks into soul. I shall starve. And Violet's like, I shall starve. Anyway. See you guys. I love y'all. You're awesome. I will do another Twitch stream later, in which I will be trying to do, I think, Oxygen Not Included. So if y'all would like to see an Oxygen Not Included stream, let me know. And we'll work it out, I guess. Would y'all want to see an Oxygen Not Included stream? It's a very complicated game, I assure you. It's also, speaking of starving, Oxygen Not Included is actually by the same people that do Don't Starve. So if y'all want to see that, I will do that, because it's very complicated. Alright, I'll do that later then. Well, I'm gonna go eat. Peace.